Hello, Voicelings. My name is Marco, and I want to make this video to show you my experience with some of the microphones I own. Why? Well, because I love microphones like you wouldn't believe it. I love them with a passion. I love working with voice. I'm very new at Voicelings and voice acting. However, I'm a singer, so I do own quite a few microphones that I love and I've been using over the years. And I've seen some questions around in the community asking what is the best microphone to start or what microphone you recommend and what kind of audio equipment, etc., etc. So I just wanted to share my own experience. Now, this is aimed for people who are just starting in the audio production, in audio, rather voice or instruments. I'm a musician, and after a few months being in this community, I think it's my calling. I would really, really love to be professional at this. And I found that this community is extremely amazing. I love the teachings of Terry Strongs and all the community, the support that they show to each other. So I just wanted to, I don't know, add a little bit from myself to the community in the hopes that someone new who's just starting with audio could appreciate. Okay, so let's go to microphones, my passion. Whenever you're starting with microphones, usually I've heard this from voiceover artists and sometimes musicians when they want to record something, is that they will recommend you to own a condenser mic like this. I have seen a lot of people using this exact mic for the recordings and the videos they share. I love it because I have it myself and I really, really like the audio quality that it provides for the price tag that it has. This is a fantastic model that I recommend everyone should have if you're starting with audio recording, especially on voice. This is called the Rode NT1, all right? I have the 5th generation that can switch between XLR connections and USB. Right now I'm using the XLR connection, but you can find it even cheaper with the Signature series that I believe is just XLR, but it's a fantastic microphone. And if you're starting in voiceover or you want to record voices or songs or whatever you want, I absolutely recommend this microphone. Now, a few tips that you may find useful is that I've seen some people make here, and I hope you don't take it wrong, it's just honest advice for you to learn a little bit about microphones and their use. Whenever you're using condensers, you have to understand that no matter the quality of the microphone that you have, it could be an extremely high professionally level microphone like a Neumann, like Tara Strong has, or someone entry level like this one. If your room is not properly treated, it will sound bad, most likely. It is extremely hard to make a good microphone, especially a good condenser microphone, to sound good if your room is not treated. What do I mean with that? Basically, the easiest thing you can do to treat your room is to put soft things on your walls and your floor. Basically, if you have a hard floor, put a carpet on it. If you have hard walls, put whatever it takes to make it softer. It could be pillows, clothing, towels, blankets, curtains, whatever. I have, for example, some special kind of foam. It's not fully treated now because it's kind of hot, so I have my window open and stuff. But it is extremely useful. You will see a world of difference when your room is treated. Why? Because this kind of microphones are extremely sensitive, which means that they will catch the sound from any source to a quite far distance. And if you get away from it, you will sound more naturally, because the recommended distance for microphones, condenser microphones, and your mouth should be the distance between your little finger and your pinky finger, like so. But if you talk like that and your room is not treated properly, you will hear a lot of echo of your voice traveling all over the room and echoing and ricocheting all over the place. It will get into the recording and it will sound bad. What you can do to fight that is to approach the mic. Now, what's the deal with approaching too much? It's that microphones has something called proximity effect. And some people like myself, I love to use it because when you are further apart, it sounds more natural. But when you get closer, it sounds more like a radio. Like, wow, your voice sounds kind of like more powerful, but also boomier, more radio-ish. And the closer you get, the more the effect will be noticeable. Some people don't want that effect. Some people use it to their advantage, depending on what you want. But it could be a very good option to just approach the mic, to not let the space do its thing, and allowed the waves to ricochet all over the place. Now, of course, you can put anything on your walls to make it softer, to stop those waves from bouncing so much and ruining your recording. Another mistake I've seen a lot of people do is that they don't use a windscreen or a pop shield or a pop filter, especially when you're using a microphone that you don't have a very good technique. Is that people, look at this, look how good this sounds. Wow, we are one with the flow. Wow, right? The sound sounds perfect, but I've seen some people not using this, and look at what happens. Besides the audio waves bouncing around, you have to consider that when you talk, there's always wind coming out of your mouth all the time. And sometimes it's very noticeable, especially with the plosives. Sounds like with the P's and B's. And that explosive sound and the explosive and sudden flow of air, if it hits the microphone directly, it will ruin your recording. Look. People are always picking, wow, it's ruined. So be very careful. If you're using a microphone, especially one with a large diaphragm like this, with a large capsule, I mean, you have to be very careful. If you talk directly to it, you have to use one of this. It could be a little sponge, for example, a pop filter. A pop filter like this. You can also put it here. But remember that sponges will always make the sound a little bit warmer, a little more radio-ish. And if you don't want that, then don't use this. If you want that effect, you can totally use it. Why? Because it doesn't cover your face as much. So it's great like for streaming and doing live performances and whatnot, because it doesn't cover the whole face. The problem when you use one of the big ones is that the audio quality doesn't change, the tonality doesn't change. However, it covers your face. For example, when I stream, look, if I put it in front of my face, I cannot engage as much with the people because they won't see my expressions, and sometimes I can cover my whole face, you see? So it's always better to use like Tara Strong's technique and put it sideways. She has it on top here because it also helps reading a script. You can read a script like this and have the microphone up here if you have a very good boom arm to sustain the microphone, and that is a perfect technique that voiceovers and singers use alike. Another technique that you could use, basically, if you don't have one of these, they're really cheap, by the way, is to put the microphone instead in front of you, a little sideways. Just like I said, like you could see Tara Strong, he has it like here, because you can see her face perfectly, and condenser mics still will catch the sound perfectly because they're very sensitive. Even if you stay away, they will catch the sounds. And if you don't want to cover your face and you have a good microphone technique, you can just put it sideways. So if you blow, it won't be much noticeable, and you can still get pretty good quality of sound. The important thing is you never blow directly into the mic or speak directly into the mic if you don't have one of these, because look, people pow, wow, pickles, it's ruined. The audio quality is ruined. So always have one of these. And if you don't have one, or you don't want to use one because you want to show more of your face, put it sideways so the blow of air doesn't hit the capsule. All right. Now, even though most people will use a condenser mic to record, there are a few voiceover artists and especially musicians who don't who not only trust condensers but also trust dynamic microphones. And a lot of people don't like dynamic microphones because the sound quality is not as clear, but they're a lot more forgiving, especially with the space. If your room is not treated, a dynamic microphone can be an excellent choice to record amazing audio because it is a lot more forgiving. It doesn't, it rejects the sound, especially the echo of the noise, way better. And you have to be closer to the mic. But if you get a good mic, you can get a very good recording. And many of the best and most trusted microphones in the world are dynamics. Legendary musicians like Ozzy Osbourne have been known or were known to record, not even on stage and play, but to record some of his most famous and legendary songs with an SM58, which is a dynamic microphone, and it's cheaper than this one. Another reason why would I recommend to own a dynamic, it's because they are basically tanks, especially from the brand Shure. I'm going to show you one here that I have that is one of the most legendary microphones in the history of the planet. It's from Shure, and I will show you how it sounds, and so you will see, well, people have told me that they don't sound good, but actually they do. And for the price, they sound extremely, really good. You can get a new Shure nowadays for $109. A couple of months ago, it was only $99. And it had been $99 for like 2 decades or even more. Nowadays, it increased the price $10, but honestly, it's absolutely worth it. It is one of the best microphones out there. Maybe not in sound quality because you have extremely legendary and amazing brands like Neumann, but Neumann microphones cost thousands of dollars, and you get a Shure SM57 or SM58 for about $100. And if you balance, especially considering the price, quality, reliability, and price, Shure, it's probably the best brand out there. Musicians and voiceover artists, especially musicians, have trusted Shure for 60 years, ever since the SM57 came out. So, like I said, if you don't want to treat the room or you don't have the budget to treat the room, and maybe you are just starting, and also a great idea and a great consideration to have another microphone or your first microphone to be the SM57 that I will show you now, it's because it can be your backup microphone. I know some voiceover artists who already are professional and make a lot of money doing their work, especially for companies, doing commercials and ads and stuff like that, that they always have an SM57 in their bag or somewhere because sometimes they travel, sometimes they have to be outside of town, sometimes they're not in their home studios. And carrying one of these everywhere, it's really a problem. It is not practical, and most people won't do it. Not only because they're huge, but because they're very, very sensitive, not only in the sound, but also that if you drop them, most likely you will break them. Most likely you will damage them. You have to treat this baby like a baby. They're very soft, they're very delicate. So when you carry a dynamic microphone, you can drop them, you can kick them, you can put water onto them. Nothing happens to them. That's why they're used also on live performances. You can really mistreat them and the audio quality won't get affected. So to give you an idea, I will show you now a dynamic microphone and you will compare the audio quality. And sometimes, maybe some of you will even prefer the dynamic sound. Most of the times that I use microphones, because I'm a singer and I also use my microphones for meetings and for work every day, most of the times I use dynamics. They're more forgiving, they're more reliable, they will never fail you. You can carry them anywhere in a little backpack, whatever. They are so small, they're so hard, they're so reliable, and they're so cheap, especially that model. And the audio quality for the price is absolutely amazing. So I will switch microphones so you can see. So this legendary microphone right here, it's called the Shure SM57. As you can see, the audio quality, it may not be as clear as the Rode. However, it is a lot cheaper, and you can get this anywhere. They are sold all over the world. It is one of the most sold microphones in the world. I think the only one sold more is the SM58, which is the little brother of this, which is basically almost the same microphone, but with a little ball here that I also have around. And this is the audio quality that you will get. Now, most people, when they talk, like I said, beginners, they put the microphone right here, but look at what happens with the wind. It completely ruins the recording. So a good way to avoid that, put it sideways so your sound, your wind, will never touch the capsule. The important part, of course, is that you have to point the capsule directly to your mouth, and you can work with the distance, what distance you prefer, what sound you prefer. Remember that the closer you get, the warmer you will sound always, okay? So you can work with that like the radio people do all the time. Broadcasters get really close to the mic because they love that sound, that warmness. But maybe voiceover actors will step away a little bit more to sound more naturally. And you can play with the sounds in your voice with the Dynamics microphone just as much as you can with a condenser. Well, all right. It's a really great addition to your arsenal of microphones. I advise absolutely every person who is into audio, whether it be music or voice acting, to get an SM57 or an SM58. Now, if you don't have a very good technique, or maybe you're not careful with the sound and the movement, you can always get a pop filter for a dynamic microphone. Like that. And that will change the sound. Like I said, just the way that it does with a condenser. When you put like a sponge into the microphone, it makes the sound warmer. It makes the sound, for some ears, sound better. For other ears, it sound too muffled. A lot of people don't like dynamics because they sound kind of more muffled, more nasal. But hey, I think, in my opinion, it sounds absolutely great. And like I said, they're so reliable. They will never fail you. You can drop them, you can kick them, you can take them anywhere. That even though it's not your main microphone, I recommend everyone to have one as a backup for traveling or whatever you want to do, for live performances. It's an incredible microphone. One of the best microphones ever made. And if you consider the price tag, could be considered as the best, even to today's standards, even that it's been made. It was made 60 years ago. Musicians, some voiceover artists, especially the ones starting, has trusted this microphone forever. Even politicians, the presidents of the United States for the last 60 years have used this microphone on the podiums on stage to give national and international speeches. And not only in the US, but in every country, because this is one of the most reliable microphones with such an amazing audio quality for such a cheap price. It could be considered an entry-level microphone, yes, but the audio quality that it has is professional, because professionals with decades of experience have been using this mic forever. It's an absolute must. So if you're starting, maybe you have a little budget, you don't want to spend too much money, I totally recommend to use one of these. The pop filter, it's sold separately. You see how the sound kind of changes with the sponge and without it? But you can add it. You can buy a cheap one, blah, 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 blah. Or you can buy the one specially made for the SM57. It's up to you. Shure has some amazing microphones. I've seen some people, for example, using here also the SM7B, which is kind of like the SM57 on steroids. It's basically almost the same microphone, but trust me, you don't need to spend $400 now, $440 that costs um, on a microphone. If you can afford this, you can get about 90 to 95% of what you can do with the SM7B. With the SM57, it costs 4 times less. It is an absolute must that you have it if you are serious about audio, especially if you like to record instruments. Nowadays, this microphone is mainly used to record instruments, but it's also great on voice, and it can be a great addition for you as a backup microphone or a starting level microphone. You're hearing the quality of it that it has right now, and it's absolutely amazing. Now let's go back to the Rode. That is probably the one I recommend the most when you're starting in voice over recording. And there you have it. See, the sound here kind of sounds a little more naturally, I would say. But to be honest, I love the sound of the dynamics as well. It depends to you. My recommendation, get both. If you cannot afford both, then get whatever is in your budget. You don't have to break the bank when you're starting here, okay? That's, remember, audio treatment in your room, in the space you're recording, is more important than the microphone itself, because you can record something absolutely amazing with a cheap mic like the SM57. Cheap meaning professional cheap, okay? Professionally level cheap. It's not going to cost you $10, like I said, like about $100. But in the professional recording audio equipment, that's considered cheap. And you can get an amazing quality sounding audio if you have a properly treated room. And even if you don't have treatment in your room, you will get amazing sound with something like the SM57. And if you have a little bit more money and better microphone technique, and you still want to mainly focus on voice, it is a great addition to have a condenser. It is absolutely recommended. And they will catch sound a lot more delicately, I would say. And they're really perceptive to everything. If you open the window, it mostly will catch sounds from the outside as well. It won't reject sound as good, but the recording itself will be usually clearer. And both of these microphones are considered to be kind of like entry level, but can be totally used professionally for recording amazing audio. Now, of course, when you are making a lot of money and you're established in the community, everybody knows you and they're hiring you constantly, you can spend a lot more money and maybe get a Sennheiser or a Neumann, which is even better. Neumann is like way up there in the scale of quality and eliteness of microphones. I heard Tara Strong says that the microphone she always shows in her videos is a Neumann, but those cost, like I said, over $2,000. They're very, very expensive. You don't have to get in debt to get into this. To start, you can totally start with a budget microphone like the Rode NT1 or the SM7B. They're both amazing, and I just totally recommend it. All right. This video was longer than I expected, but I hope that somebody watches this and find it helpful. If you got any questions, let me know. Like I said, I'm just starting in the voiceover community. I'm loving this community. Thank you so much, Tara Strong, for what you do for all of us. You are amazing. But I know a lot about microphones because I've been a musician for quite a while. I've been singing since I was a child. I love singing. So that's about it. All right. Like I said, any questions, let me know. I hope this video is helpful and nice. And take care. You're amazing. And like Booth Junkie says on the YouTube, go outside and record something amazing. Okay? Take care, voicelings.